for something new at Ontario Sheep Farmers. The Ontario Sheep Farmers Board of Directors is going to be on location in Eastern Ontario for their July board meeting. On July 3rd, the board is going to be having supper at CC's on the Rideau, which is near Perth, Ontario. And if any members in Eastern Ontario, districts 8, 9, or 10, are able that evening to come for dinner at 7 o'clock at CC's on the Rideau, please reach out to the Ontario Sheep Farmers office, either phoning or by email to register, and we will put you on the list and hope to see you there. Now let's get into today's episode.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Flock Talk. I'm Erin Morgan.
And I'm Walker Ball, and we work for the members of the Ontario Sheep Farmers.
Today on Flock Talk, we're sitting down with Rob Gribble from Serval, Canada. Serval is a trusted leader in livestock nutrition, focusing on high-quality milk replacers, specifically designed for sheep and goats. Their products are carefully developed to support early animal growth, strengthen immunity, and promote overall flock health. What sets Serval apart is how they blend solid science with practical on-farm solutions, working closely with producers to tackle the real challenges farmers face every day. We're excited to have Rob here to share more about what Serval does and to give us a sneak peek at what they'll be bringing to this year's Ontario Sheep Farmers Field Day on July 24th at the Orono Fairgrounds. Welcome, Rob.
Thanks. How are you guys today?
We're great. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you.
Amazing. So, Rob, to kick things off, could you share a bit about your background and how you became involved with Serval Canada?
I've been very fortunate over my career to spend my entire time in the ag industry. I've worked in genetics, I've worked on the feed side, and I've worked for equipment companies supplying the barn equipment. So I've been very fortunate, done a lot of traveling, been around the world in some cases. So I've been very, very lucky.
Wow, that's great. Yeah. Where would you say is your favorite country you've been so far?
Honestly, the ones that I would like is I really liked China. The people were very friendly and they love Canadians. I got to walk on the Great Wall, not in the touristy areas, but in the real part of it. And I would then say probably Thailand is probably the next one.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, I'll put it on the list. Rob, what makes your milk replacer product stand out from others on the market?
I started with Serval just about 2 years ago. And since that time, it had been a long time since I'd done anything with milk replacer. Most of my time had been spent on the swine industry. So getting back to the milk replacer side, some of the comments that I was getting from our dealers as we sell our product through a dealer network in Ontario, and the comments I got from all the customers that were using the product was that when you open the bag, the product looks consistent all the time. We use a formula and we don't do least cost formula. We put quality ingredients in the bag, and that's what the farmer likes. The second thing they said they loved was when they opened that bag, the smell of the milk replacer, kind of made them, think, okay, this is a good bag because it smells awesome. The next thing that I've been told consistently is that it has great mixability. So whether you're mixing it in a bottle, a pail, or using one of the various machines to put it through, it mixes well, stays fresh, and that's what they like. They want a product that works well.
Yeah, I have that experience, but it's with petrol. So when I go up to a gas station, I really love the smell.
Should admit that.
Yeah, the smell of napalm in the morning, or what?
No, I'm not the only one, Erin. I've done a census, so I'm not the only one.
Amazing. Rob, when you look at how milk replacers are being used on farm, what's a common but overlooked mistake? What's quietly costing farmers performance or profit, and how would you address it head on?
So I think one of the things that farmers need to remember, any company that gives them instructions or information regarding their product, it's usually something that the company has tried over, thousands and thousands of animals, tried different formulas. So we're giving a suggestion on our mixing, on how we mix, how much our inclusion rates are, how warm or hot to mix the milk, and then add colder water so it's the proper temperature for the animal. Part of that has to do with making sure that the formula gets really well mixed and doesn't have lumps or clumps and doesn't separate out. So again, we have to remember that when we're feeding these small animals, no matter what species they are, we have to get them off to a good start, and that the cost that's involved at the start of their life takes them through their whole life cycle. So if you try to, do a shortcut, your animal's never going to grow as fast. And if the companies that you buy your genetics from to produce those animals, if you're not feeding them well enough, they won't perform to what you need to do. So we need to spend a little bit of money to make money. And that's one of the main things is we need to look at the long-term cost, not just what that one bag costs them, what the value is in that bag over the animal's lifetime.
Yeah, definitely quality. I'm very curious to know if that has been an educational component where you guys have had to go in and explain that, or have producers kind of caught on to that a little bit more quicker?
Well, I think we're always learning, no matter what we're doing or what industry we're in. We're taking things that have been done. It doesn't work the exact same in every barn because we don't all have the same management. We're trying to get to the same end goal, but our facilities and management aren't the same. So that's one of the things when you go onto a farm, the farmer's there every day doing all the hard work. I'm there for 5 minutes to try and solve a problem or help with the solution. Again, we have recommendations, but we also have to learn what the farmer's doing and try to make sure what we're communicating will actually help them in that circumstance.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Rob, many producers still rely on bottle feeding out of habit, but with rising labor costs and tighter margins, that's getting harder to sustain. What does a smart transition to automated feeding look like without sacrificing animal care?
Well, I think one of the things to do is you're taking the emphasis away of labor intensity. Before, when you're mixing bottles or mixing in pails, you're there spending that time doing those things. Once you switch over to one of the various milk machines, even a bulk milk holder, you're changing some of that labor intensity into more management type skills. So you have to pay attention to your milk machine, make sure that it's cleaned out on a regular basis, make sure that it's set at the proper temperature. And it's not one of those things where I can set it today and walk away and it'll be fine in a month. You need to check it on a regular basis. You also need to calibrate the machine on a regular basis to make sure that the powder is getting through for the solution that you want. And the other big thing that's really important, if you have any hoses that the milk replacer is running through, make sure that the line is in a straight line. If you make it in loops, the milk can sit there and that will generate bacterial growth and or temperature will not be right. So, have a couple of sets of hoses so you can take one off, clean them, put the clean pair on, and those ones can be cleaned properly. You're not in a rush. So those are a few items.
Yeah, amazing. And you mentioned before about your product support. But can you tell us more about that? How far does your support go? And when a farmer makes a purchase and is new with Serval, what type of long-term care do they get from your organization?
So what we like to do is, take a truckload of 25 or 30 ton of milk replacer and just dump it on the farm and then walk away.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
So again, Serval, when the company started, or the way the model is working right now for here in Ontario, is we have a dealer network of the different feed dealers around the province. So we sell our product to the feed dealers, and the feed dealers sell to the farmers. That way, you're getting my support. In this case now, you're getting the feed dealers' farm support from many of their support people. And beyond that, the company has way smarter people than I am that are in our small animal division in Quebec. So we have technicians that look after our barns that we own as well. And then we have a lady by the name of Annie that is the head of our technicians, fantastic lady, travels across the country looking after our 2 sheep flocks that we have, one in Quebec and one in Alberta. After that, we have Serval, France, where Serval all started in the mid-50s. So we have a technical team there as well, that if Andy can't solve it, I can't solve it, the dealer can't solve it, we have those people that we bring. The head of our small animal division from Europe comes to North America, because we also have a plant in Wisconsin. He comes about 4 times a year, and we're able to use him on farm when we need him for whichever species we have.
Fantastic.
Wow. How would you say your products actively contribute to resilience and not just gain weight?
Well, I think there's a combination. Feed plays an important role, management plays an important role, and the genetics. So we have to make sure we're feeding the right feed to the animal that they're geared for. If you have an animal that's been bred with top genetics, you want a top feed that's going to work on that animal and make them grow. Obviously, the benefits are, if they're growing better, they're healthier. In theory, not scientifically, but just in theory, if our animal's eating and drinking, they're growing. If they're growing, they're eating and drinking. So, there's those things that, because we use quality products all the time, I think the consistency that we have to offer the farmer is second to none.
Mm.
Amazing. So, Rob, can you tell us a little bit about how Serval's milk replacer stands up against the others that are currently on the market, especially when they're using automated feeding systems? And also, I'm really interested in how your product is formulated. Is it acidified or not acidified? And does it include a liquid fat component?
Yes. So our product lines, we're very fortunate that we can have a regular or plain version of all of ours. And then the species that normally use acidified versions are lamb and kid. So yeah, we do have that product. We have an acidified version in both. And it right now, honestly, it's probably the product, the acidified versions is the one that's selling the most in both species. There's some benefits to having acidified, with gut health, and also with helping to reduce bacterial growth in the milk. So there's definitely benefits to both. You had also asked about fat. So we do have a dry fat and a liquid fat that we can add into the different formulas that we have.
Amazing. Thank you. And looking ahead, what shifts or innovations in early livestock nutrition do you think producers should be preparing for? How is Serval positioned to help them stay ahead of the curve?
Well, for Serval in particular, we're very fortunate that we have a great research facility. So as I'd mentioned, in Alberta, we have 6,000 ewes. In Quebec, we have 3,500 ewes. So any products that we're making or testing, guess where they go first? They get to be used on ours. So, we can make changes very quickly because we have our own animals and are able to use product changes really quick.
Wow, that's a lot. That's great though. You guys, it's like a training ground.
Yeah, and we're very fortunate that the family that owns Serval, runs a company called Serval Ag, the Fontaines, the great people. They've they've done a lot of great work in the ag industry, and we have a big calf research facility in Quebec as well. Plus, we have a lot of animals that we own that we feed milk replacers to, so we know what it does.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, so you're going to be at Field Day, obviously. We are so curious. What are you bringing? Anything hands-on, practical? Tell us everything.
Well, if I tell everybody everything now, they're not going to come. So,
I like the way you think, Rob.
They have to come to see what all is going to be there. Definitely there will be something there that I have not had at a booth at any show or event in my first 2 years. So there will be something there. So stop around wherever I'm set up. I don't know yet, but stop by the booth, and we always have goodies. We always have information. If you need to come and see one of our facilities, we're able to do that with a bit of scheduling. So not only do we have a milk replacer plant, we have a feed plant where we make all of our own grain rations. We have slaughter facilities, harvesting facilities. We have processing plants where we process the meat, and farms to look at, as well as machinery and trucks, and it's a big company.
Well,
that's great.
That's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing your booth, and now I'm really curious as to what you are bringing. But you're gonna have to wait till July.
Yeah, it's not that far. 6-7 weeks. It's not that far away, everybody.
Yeah, but let's not wish away the summer. It's my favorite time of year.
I think we're all ready for some summer now.
Yeah,
I know. Can it stop raining?
Yes.
So as we close out, what's one message or piece of advice you would like to leave with Ontario sheep farmers when they're thinking about their flocks and the role nutrition plays?
I think as producers, we're always looking at a better advantage. Sometimes we need to just say, okay, are we doing the best job we can do with what we have, and not look for that golden nugget. It would be awesome if we could find that golden nugget that makes everything wonderful. But most of the time it's paying attention to detail, looking at your animals every day, making sure your feed is good, whether it's milk replacer or grain. And also check your water. That's one of the things that we fail to do. We have labs. We can send water samples in to get them done, or go to your local board of health. That's what they're there for. But water is very important. If our animals aren't drinking good quality water and good quality feeds, they're not going to grow. So don't forget your water.
That's an amazing piece of advice. Thank you, Rob. And thanks for joining us on the podcast today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. It's been fun. Thank you.
And thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode of Flock Talk, please subscribe to your podcast app to receive alerts for our future episodes. And please share our podcast with your friends.
For more Ontario Sheep Farmer content, follow us on social media at Ontario Sheep Farmers on Instagram and Facebook, at Ontario Sheep on X, and visit our website, ontariosheep.org.